Bruce Yeany, and today we're going to take a look at smoke rings. But these aren't ordinary rings because these we're going to make underwater. So let's take a closer look.
We're going to do this experiment at the sink. And we'll fill this about 1/3 of the way. That should be enough. The aquarium's ready. Let's go take a look at the container to make the rings. Now I drilled a 3/4 inch hole in this plastic bottle, cut it in half, and now I'm going to take this piece of balloon and stretch it over the open end. I'm going to get it nice and tight. Take a rubber band, wrap it around the end 2 times, and that's going to hold it in place. There we go. So it's ready to go. Now we're going to try a couple different containers. Here's a small one with a 1/2 inch hole, and we're going to try a couple larger ones. These have 1 inch holes in them. Now these are the same containers that I could use to make smoke rings in air, so now let's go see what happens in the aquarium. The first method of making the rings visible, we're going to start with a little bit of tempera paint. I'm going to put that into the container, then we're going to fill it up to the top as much as it will hold. There we go, that should be about enough. Put my thumb over it, shake it real good, mix it thoroughly. Now let's see if it'll make some rings. Here we are looking down, and let's switch to the front view. Here we can see the rings coming at us. How about some orange rings? The problem I found with tempera paint is that if you add a little bit too much, the water will get cloudy very, very quickly, and you'd have to change it often. If we want them to look like actual smoke rings, we can switch to white tempera paint. But once again, notice how cloudy it got very quickly. My second method of making rings visible is going to use food coloring. So let's try that, see how that looks. With this method, the water does not become opaque like it does with the tempera paint, but after a while we're going to have enough food coloring in here that it's still going to hide the rings and we're not going to be able to see them. After the rings are no longer visible, at this point we could switch to a different shade, or the other possibility is to switch to tempera paint and we can get a few more rings using that method. The third option, and by far my favorite, uses an acid-base indicator called phenolphthalein. If we add it to water, it's still going to remain clear, but if we add a weak base like ammonia, all we need is a few drops, and that's going to be enough to make it change to a nice, bright pink. Let me stir it around here so that we can have it mixed thoroughly. Now the chemical opposite of a base is an acid, so we're going to add a little bit of vinegar to this solution and observe what happens. It changes back to clear. Now let's go back and try this for our demonstration. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of vinegar to the aquarium. We don't need much because phenolphthalein is a very sensitive chemical. Too much acid, or if I make the base too weak, the indicator solution will disappear too quickly. So it takes a little bit of experimentation to get the right concentrations. Now let's try using this to make smoke rings. We're going to add the phenolphthalein, a little bit of the ammonia. Now we're going to top it off with water. Try and get as much in there as possible so that there isn't any air bubbles. And shake it up. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed, and let's make some rings. The great thing about this method is, if it gets a little cloudy, all I have to do is wave my hand and it clears up. The small amount of vinegar I added is going to last a very long time. This indicator is very sensitive. However, the ammonia in the container gets diluted very quickly. As it gets too weak, the rings will disappear too quick, but there's a simple solution. Simply take it out, add more ammonia, and then try it again. Here we see some very small rings. The diameter of this hole is about 1/2 inch. The diameter of this hole is about 1 inch. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out my channel. I have other science to show you. Okay, bye!